Okay, so we're back. Hello there, I'm Holly. So we're working on this chapter, the introduction. Believe it or not, we're still on the introduction of Your Past is a Gift. And we're on page 2 with that paragraph 3. Understand that an adult who has a heart full of love cannot harm another human being or living thing. Therefore, if an adult hurt you physically or emotionally, it was just an expression of the pain they were carrying within them. All right, so let's review. From what we've talked about in the previous video, let's expand, because that's what we're here for, right? Expansion. Now, what's going to bake some noodles in this video is that we chose these parents specifically to have this experience that we've had in our childhood. And I'm going to let you sit with that. Again, I'm going to remind you, if what comes up in the video does not resonate with you, it's okay. It's not meant to. You're not meant to get this yet, or maybe not in this lifetime. Okay? Before coming here, we have soul contracts with these beautiful beings, and we ask them, this mother and this father, to play these roles for us, because we wish, when I say we, I'm talking about your soul, your higher self, not we as the human being, us, this, this meat suit that we are, not this human being, but your soul, your higher self, already had soul contracts with your mother and your father, or the beings that raised you, whoever raised you. You already had an agreement before coming here that this is the role that they would play for you, because before you came here, you had already decided what experience you were going to have. Now, again, I'm going to let you sit with that. So there's 2 things so far. One is that you chose these beings to raise you. And 2 is that you chose the experiences that you've had up until now. How's that? How's that sitting? Now, let's play with something else. What if the experiences that you've had are neither right or wrong, nor good or bad? What if they're neither here nor there? What if you came to have this experience because in your natural, infinite state, you can't be any of that? Okay, so imagine yourself now, before you come into this world, okay, before you materialize into human form. See yourself as the energy that you are, as this beautiful light being. Just see yourself there. And know that you are this infinite, limitless, unconditional, unwavering love. You are peace. You are bliss and joy and free for all eternity. This is who you are in your natural state. And this place called Earth has been created for you, that you may come here and experience things that you are not in your natural state. You come to experience grief and shame and pain and fear and anger. But you also come to experience the joy and the love and the bliss and the ecstasy. Here you can be it all. And that's what we come for, to be it all. Not just the joy and the love and the peace. We come here to be all of it. We come here to experience, what does it feel like to not be free? What does it feel like to be afraid? What does it feel like to be in the deepest, darkest sadness? What is that? And that is what the soul yearns to know. That's what it comes to do, or to be. You know, it's through all these experiences that we go through that the soul gets to have these experiences. And it gets to know itself more fully. Wow, that's what shame feels like. That's what guilt feels like. That's what it feels like to not be good enough, to not be worthy, to not be free. To be in conflict, to be anxious, to be stressed. All these things we come for and more. So before materializing into human form, we've already made all these decisions that when we come in, this is what we want to experience. And so we ask these beings, can you please play these roles for me? Now, going back to the chapter that we read in the book, these adults that have raised you, by the time you come, they've had decades, at least 2 decades, of suffering, of guilt, of shame, of anxiety, of depression, of grief. Who knows what they've been through? Like my mum, losing her parents. She would have gone through grief for many, many years in her childhood. Or longer even. You know, is that something you ever recover from as a child? To have lost both of your parents. So you come into this world and you are this beautiful love and this beautiful light, and you've just arrived into their worlds, you know, into what they're experiencing, into what they feel is real for them. Your parents or the people that raised you. And what happens is, what they've been through, all the trauma, all the pain, all the suffering, all the good things too. It's not just those things, but for the most part, the pain and the suffering that we take on is passed down from them. You see, every behavior, every human behavior that we have is learned. It's not natural in you. It's not like you're born with these urges. We learn them. We learn them somewhere along the line. We pick this up. So, when, you know, if you're coming from a home where you've been smacked and yelled at, like mine, when you look at that parent now, okay, close your eyes and just imagine that parent as a child and see them in the same role. They're being smacked or they're being yelled at, or even worse. Even worse things are happening to them for them to have treated you the way they did, because they learn these behaviors. It's all learned. If you were sexually abused as a child, understand that that adult was sexually abused as a child, and it's been going on for generations. These are learned behaviors. Domestic violence, when you watch 2 parents where one of them is constantly beating up the partner. This is a learned behavior. This is something they've observed as a child within their own home. And that frustration of not being able to do anything as a child is what comes out when they're the adult. It's that inadequacy that I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stop it. But watching that pattern replay over and over and over in the human mind becomes this, well, that must be how the world works. It's their normal. You know, for me, there's no such thing as normal. Each house is its own little world of what's going on inside, you know? Its own little movie, if you like. There is no real normal in the world. But in each house, what happens within each house, the children feel, they believe, they think that this is how the world works. They think that every house is going through this because that's what's going on with them. I know, because I've had this conversation so many times with my daughter. She's 12. And when I tell her that in other houses there's certain things going on, she's like, no. Like, she doesn't believe me. And I'm like, yes, not every house is like your house. You know, other children are going through other things, different things. And I know because my childhood was completely different to hers. And so sometimes I'll bring up things from my childhood and I'll tell her, this is how I grew up. And she just looks at me with these huge eyes like, no. And I'll be like, yes. You know, and even from her dad's point of view, you know, his parents split up when he was around 12. And so there was a lot of stuff going on there. And again, she can't compare that because she's 12 and we're all together. There's harmony here. There isn't conflict and constant, you know, that energy, you know, that comes with people that are getting separated. So, yeah, you know, I know she's 12 and she thinks like that every house is like our house. And I'm like, no, every house is different, you know, and I try and explain it to her. But I was the same as a child. I thought every house was the same as ours. I thought every mum yelled at their kid and every mum smacked their kid and dads just went off to work and came back at the end of the day. You know, you tend to think that what's going on in your house is what's happening everywhere, isn't it? Isn't it happening everywhere? Isn't this how the world functions? Parents do this and kids just put up with it because we're too little. We can't say anything. We can't do anything. This is how it works. All right, my darlings. So I'm going to leave you with that thought for today. There's a lot in this video to process. The soul contracts, the soul choosing its experience. By the way, that's all from the 5th book. You can change your past. So if this one is a bit beyond you today, don't worry about it. It's all good. I'm trying to do baby steps towards that section of the videos. But sometimes it just comes up and it needs to be talked about. And later we'll talk about it more when we get to that topic. For now, we're trying to understand that the grown-ups around us, you know, if we didn't have a happy childhood, if we weren't loved completely and felt like we had a wonderful childhood, that they were in a lot of pain. And that pain is passed down onto you. They can't help it. We're going to talk more about that in the next video, about why that happens. All right, my darlings, I love you. Remember to click like and subscribe below so you don't miss any of the messages. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.